The air feels different, doesn't it? Heavy charged, like the silence right before a storm tears the sky apart. People pretend they don't feel it. They bury their heads in their little routines, but deep down they know. Something is moving, something big, something that won't wait for anyone to be ready. Tonight isn't just another night. It's the kind of night that tests you, the kind that flips everything upside down. And if you're not prepared, if you're not awake, it'll crush you before you even realize what hit you. Anticipation sharpens the senses. It's funny how the body reacts when something is about to happen. Your heart ticks faster, your breath grows shorter, your eyes dart around like they're searching for something you can't quite name. That isn't fear. It's awareness. That's the body screaming, "Wake up." The problem is, most people confuse anticipation with panic. They feel the tension, the build-up, and instead of letting it sharpen them, they drown in it. They let the pressure turn them soft instead of steel. You see, anticipation isn't the enemy. It's the warning system you were born with, the spark that forces you to pay attention. It strips away the dullness of routine and makes everything vivid. Have you noticed that? When something massive is coming, suddenly the world looks clearer. The details pop. Every sound feels louder. Every second stretches longer. That's anticipation pulling you into the present, forcing you to stop drifting and actually AC. Most people live half asleep, blind to their surroundings, and then wonder why life blindsides them. But anticipation, when you learn to use it, slices through the fog and brings you face to face with reality. Think of the moments right before a fight, right before stepping on a stage, right before making a choice that could change everything. Your stomach twists, your skin tightens, your mind races. That's not weakness. That's your system arming itself. That's your instincts sharpening their blades, preparing you for the strike. Anticipation puts you on edge, and being on edge means you're ready to react. The problem is, people don't like the feeling. It makes them uncomfortable. They label it as anxiety, they call it stress, and they try to numb it. But numbing it means dulling your senses. And if your senses are dull, how do you expect to handle what's coming? The truth is, anticipation is a gift. It's the spark that separates those who survive from those who fall. It's the difference between walking blind into chaos and stepping forward with eyes wide open. If you let it, anticipation makes you sharper than you've ever been. It turns ordinary moments into high-definition warnings. It lets you see the cracks, feel the shifts, hear the whispers others miss. And in a world where everything can change in an instant, being alert is the only advantage that matters. But most people waste it. Instead of leaning into the sharpened senses, they try to run from them. They drown the feeling with distractions, with noise, with excuses. They mistake the signal for the problem. They don't realize the tightening in their chest, the quickening of their pulse. Is the body preparing them for the moment they've been waiting for? And when the moment comes, they're not ready. Not because they weren't warned, but because they ignored the warning. Anticipation teaches you to live on the edge, to stay awake when everyone else is asleep. It's not comfort, it's not calm, but calm doesn't win battles. Comfort doesn't survive storms. Sharpness does. Awareness does. The person who leans into anticipation, who learns to ride it instead of resisting it, becomes untouchable. Because while everyone else is fumbling in the dark, they're already moving, already adapting, already ready for whatever breaks through the silence. That's the secret most people miss. Anticipation doesn't weaken you. It arms you. It's not the storm itself. It's the rumble before the thunder, the flash before the lightning. Ignore it, and you'll be caught off guard. Embrace it, and you'll see clearer than ever before. Because anticipation sharpens the senses, and sharp senses are the only weapon you truly own when something massive is coming. Fear signals preparation, not retreat. That's the problem with how people see fear. They think it's the enemy, the thing that should stop them, the wall that means turn back. But fear is never a wall, it's a flare. It's your mind screaming that something important is about to happen. Fear doesn't show up when nothing matters. Fear only shows up when the stakes are high, when the outcome could change everything. The trembling hands, the fast heartbeat, the tightness in your chest. That's not your body betraying you. That's your body waking you up, sharpening you, telling you to get ready. The tragedy is most people misread it. They feel fear and immediately collapse into themselves. They hide, they stall, they run, convincing themselves that fear is a sign to quit. But fear doesn't mean stop. It means pay attention. It means the moment is bigger than you thought, and you need to step into it with everything you've got. Without fear, you'd drift through life half asleep, never truly awake when it mattered most. Fear is the spark that makes you realize something is at stake, that the next move you make actually counts. Think about it. Before the first punch in a fight, before the first word in a speech, before the first step into the unknown, fear is there. And it feels like it's trying to break you, but it's not. It's loading the system. It's pumping adrenaline into your veins, making your muscles faster, your vision sharper, your senses alive. Nature designed fear to prepare you, not destroy you. The mistake is in thinking the rush is an obstacle, when it's actually fuel. That burning in your chest, that fire in your nerves, it's the energy you need to face what's coming. But people numb it. They call fear weakness. They hide it, they bury it. And in doing so, they throw away their weapon, because fear, raw and untamed, is power. It's the proof you're stepping into something real. No one feels fear when they're safe, when they're stuck, when nothing matters. Fear only comes when you're standing on the edge of something massive. That's not retreat. That's confirmation. The bigger the fear, the bigger the fight, the bigger the reward waiting on the other side. Fear forces you to confront yourself. It strips away the lies, the masks, the excuses. When you're afraid, you can't fake it anymore. You see what you really are. And in that moment, you have a choice: shrink back into the shadows or step forward into the fire. Retreat feels easier, but it's an illusion. Retreat keeps you in the same cage you've always been in. Fear isn't telling you to run away. Fear is daring you to rise. Daring you to use the energy it just poured into your body to fight, to move, to act. It's funny how people beg for strength, for courage, for breakthroughs. But the moment fear shows up, they turn away, not realizing that fear is the delivery of exactly what they asked for. You wanted courage, then you'll meet fear first. You wanted strength. Fear will hand you the weights. You wanted freedom. Fear will build the door you need to break down. But if you run from fear, you run from everything you claim to want, because fear never shows up without purpose. Fear is a compass. It points you toward the place where change is waiting, where growth is hiding. If you avoid the places that scare you, you avoid the very places that hold your future. That's why fear should never signal retreat. Retreat is death dressed up as safety. Retreat is how people lose their lives, without ever dying, stuck in routines that never change. Fear signals preparation. It means gather yourself, sharpen your blade, lock your focus, because the battle is here. And battles are the only places where transformation is born. Fear doesn't break you. Fear breaks the illusion of control. It strips everything down to the truth. Either you step into the moment, or you let it pass you by. Retreat kills the moment. Preparation saves it. Fear is the fire that tells you it's time to choose, and the only wrong choice is to run. Distractions weaken your defense. That's the oldest trick in the book. Don't attack someone head on. Just keep them busy with noise, with glitter, with little toys to stare at while the real danger crawls up behind them. People think distraction is harmless, just entertainment, just passing time. But every second your attention is stolen, your guard drops. And the world doesn't need to knock you out in one blow. It just needs you looking the wrong way when it strikes. Distraction is the thief of awareness. You tell yourself you'll only scroll for a minute, only waste an hour, only let your mind wander a little. But while you're staring at shadows, the cracks are widening in the places that matter. You don't see the patterns forming, the shifts happening, the signs building around you, because you're too busy feeding on crumbs of nothing. Distraction doesn't show up with chains. It shows up with candy. It keeps you comfortable, entertained, relaxed. And that's exactly when the danger hits hardest. Your defense isn't your muscles, your weapons, or your money. Your defense is your awareness, your ability to see things before they strike, to sense when something is wrong. And distraction cuts that ability to pieces. It numbs your instincts, fogs your mind, and leaves you exposed. You can't prepare for what you can't see, and you can't see when your attention is scattered across meaningless things. That's why people are blindsided again and again. Not because the warning wasn't there, but because their eyes were somewhere else. The irony is that most people choose their own distractions. They build their own cages. Nobody forces them to stare at screens for hours, to gossip about nonsense, to chase approval from people who don't matter. They give their focus away, little by little, until they have nothing left for the things that count. And when the storm finally arrives, they're too weak, too untrained, too lost in the noise to stand their ground. Distraction didn't just waste their time, it disarmed them. The truth is, distraction is more dangerous than direct opposition. At least when you're attacked head on, you know you're in a fight. You brace yourself, you prepare, you push back. But distraction is sneaky. It keeps you laughing, smiling, comfortable, while underneath the surface you're rotting. And by the time you realize what's been stolen, it's too late. Your energy, your focus, your sharpness, all gone. And without those, even the smallest storm can knock you flat. Look at history, at war, at battles lost. Distraction was always the silent weapon. While the enemy celebrated, drank, and played, their walls fell. While the guards were laughing, the gates opened. The same pattern plays out in life today. You lose not because you were weak, but because you were distracted when strength was needed. You thought you had time, thought you could relax, thought you could come back later and rebuild. But distraction doesn't just cost minutes. It costs opportunities that never return. And the worst part, distraction feels good. It feels easier than focus, lighter than responsibility, softer than discipline. It's tempting, addictive, endless. That's why so many fall to it. It's not a brutal strike. It's a lullaby. It sings you to sleep while your defenses crumble. It convinces you nothing important is happening, that you can lower your guard, that the massive thing you were supposed to prepare for isn't coming tonight. But it is, and when it arrives, distraction won't protect you. It'll laugh while you're crushed under the weight of your own negligence. Your greatest weapon is focus, poor, sharp, undivided focus. Because when your attention is locked, you see what others miss. You hear the footsteps in the silence. You feel the tremor in the air. You spot the danger before it explodes. That's the edge distraction takes from you. It doesn't kill you directly. It just makes sure you don't notice the knife until it's already pressed against your throat. Read the silence. It speaks louder than noise. Most people can't stand silence. They fill it with chatter, with music, with endless noise, because silence scares them. They think it means emptiness, absence, nothingness. But silence is never empty. Silence is loaded. It's the pause before the reveal, the breath before the strike, the space where the truth slips through unnoticed. Noise distracts, but silence exposes. And the ones who can't read it are the first to be blindsided. There's a reason silence makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to face what they've been ignoring. In the noise, you can hide. In the silence, everything is naked. Your own thoughts grow louder, your fears creep up. Your instincts whisper warnings you've been drowning out. But if you learn to lean into it, silence becomes your greatest advantage. It tells you things the world would rather keep hidden. It reveals shifts, changes, cracks in the surface. Silence is where the real messages live, if you're sharp enough to listen. Look closely at people. What they don't say screams louder than what they do. A pause too long, a smile that doesn't reach the eyes, a room where laughter fades too quickly. That's silence speaking. It's in the spaces between words, in the tension behind gestures. Most ignore it, too busy waiting for the noise, but silence is the raw truth. And those who can read it walk into situations, armed with knowledge no one else has. The world itself speaks through silence. Before disaster, there's a hush. Before chaos, a stillness. Animals sense it, children sense it, but adults drown it in noise, refusing to hear. They want constant distraction, because silence would force them to notice the storm gathering. But if you're the one who can stand still, who can watch the silence instead of running from it, you'll always be ahead. You'll see the storm before it breaks. You'll feel the shift before it explodes. Silence doesn't lie. It warns. The irony is that noise feels alive, but it's silence that carries meaning. Anyone can shout. Anyone can make a scene. Anyone can cover up the truth with words. But silence strips away the mask. That's why interrogators use it, why enemies fear it. Noise gives you room to hide. Silence leaves you exposed. And in exposure, the truth leaks out whether you want it to or not. That's why silence is dangerous. And that's why it's powerful. People waste their lives ignoring silence. They treat it like a void, like wasted time. They can't sit alone without filling the space with distraction. They don't realize they're training themselves to be blind. Because if you can't listen to silence, you'll never hear the signals that actually matter. You'll always be late, always caught off guard, always reacting instead of preparing. Silence doesn't wait for you. It speaks whether you listen or not. The question is whether you're sharp enough to catch it. And here's the thing: silence never lies. Words twist, noise deceives, but silence holds the real weight. It's in the hesitation before someone betrays you. It's in the stillness before a crowd turns violent. It's in the quiet of the night, when your instincts tell you something's off. If you train yourself to read it, silence becomes a weapon, a shield, a guide. But if you ignore it, silence becomes the knife you never saw coming. Read the silence, because it always carries a message. It's the hidden language beneath the surface, louder than any shout, sharper than any warning. Noise is easy, but silence is where the truth waits, whispering to those who dare to listen. Pressure exposes who you really are. Anyone can play the role when the lights are soft, when the stage is safe, when nothing is at stake. Smiles are easy when the air is calm. Confidence is cheap when no one's watching. But when the weight comes crashing down, when the walls close in, when time runs out and the noise grows louder, that's when the mask cracks. That's when the act burns away. Pressure doesn't create character. It reveals it. It peels off the layers you've been hiding behind and shows the raw thing underneath. Most people don't like to admit that. They want to believe they're strong, unshakable, built for the storm, and maybe they even convince themselves of it until the storm hits. Then suddenly, the cracks show. The excuses come out. The panic rises. They realize the version of themselves they've been clinging to only existed in theory, never in practice. Pressure doesn't give you time to pretend. It doesn't care about your stories. It strips you bare and forces the truth to the surface. That's why pressure feels like fire. It burns away illusions. The bravado, the false confidence, the empty talk, it all melts under heat. What's left is what you really are. Some discover steel underneath. Others discover dust. But either way, the truth comes out. That's why pressure is terrifying. Because it doesn't ask permission. It doesn't let you stay comfortable. It doesn't let you control the timing. It simply arrives uninvited and says, "Show me who you are." And here's the twisted beauty of it. Pressure is the fairest judge. It doesn't care about your background, your excuses, your pretty little image. It only cares about the reality of what you do when the weight is on your chest. You can talk for years about being disciplined, about being tough, about being ready. But when the moment comes and the heat rises, the truth shows instantly. You can't fake composure when your heart's racing and your mind's collapsing. Pressure doesn't let you. That's why it's dangerous to avoid pressure. People run from it, hide from it, build their lives around avoiding hard things. They think they're keeping themselves safe, but really, they're just protecting the lie. Because eventually, pressure always comes. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but one night the weight will land, and the person you really are will be dragged into the light. If you've been hiding behind comfort and pretending, you'll break. If you've been sharpening yourself in the shadows, you'll rise. Either way, pressure will expose you. Think of the ones who thrive when everything collapses. They're not fearless. They feel the same panic, the same doubt. But they've trained themselves not to run from pressure. They've faced it before, again and again, until the fire no longer blinds them. They don't escape it. They embrace it because they know it's the one place where truth is undeniable. And when truth is undeniable, there's no room for weakness, no space for masks. That's where growth happens, in the raw reality pressure forces you to face. Pressure is a mirror, but it doesn't show you the version of yourself you want to see. It shows you the version that actually exists. If you're fragile, it will expose it. If you're strong, it will prove it. If you're half asleep, it will wake you up. That's why some people fear pressure more than death. Because they're terrified of meeting themselves without the lies. And that's exactly what pressure forces you to do. The truth is, pressure isn't the enemy. It's the test. It's the reveal. It's the raw stage where you find out whether your strength is real or just painted on. And when it comes, it doesn't whisper. It doesn't wait. It doesn't give you time to prepare. It simply presses down and says, "Now we see the truth."